In the heart of Chicago's South Side, a young boy named Robert Sylvester Kelly began dreaming of a life beyond the city streets. Born on January 8, 1967, R. Kelly's story began like many others, full of humble beginnings, quiet struggles, and big dreams. Robert was raised by a single mother, Joanne Kelly, who worked hard to support her children. Music, for him, became more than sound, it was a sanctuary. At a young age, Robert found his comfort in the church choir, where his voice, soft but powerful, first caught attention. As a teenager, R. Kelly spent countless hours listening to legends like Stevie Wonder, Donny Hathaway, and Marvin Gaye. Their voices became his teachers. Their melodies shaped his earliest songs. But life in Chicago's South Side was not easy. Poverty and street challenges tested his spirit. Still, Robert never stopped believing that music could be his escape, his bridge to something greater. At Kenwood Academy High School, R. Kelly's music teacher, Lena McLin, saw something extraordinary. She encouraged him to pursue music seriously, reminding him that his voice carried emotion far beyond his years. That encouragement was the spark, and soon, R. Kelly began performing on Chicago's subway platforms, singing to passers-by, earning a few dollars, but building priceless confidence. In the late 1980s, Kelly formed a group called MGM, Mentally Gifted Men. The group won a local talent show with a song titled, Why You Wanna Play Me? Though MGM disbanded shortly afterward, the victory opened doors, and people began noticing his voice. R. Kelly was no longer just a kid from Chicago. He was an emerging artist with a unique sound, one blending gospel passion with street rhythm. By 1991, R. Kelly had begun his solo journey, soon signing with Jive Records. In 1992, his debut album, Born into the 90s, recorded with his new group Public Announcement, brought him his first taste of fame. Songs like She's Got That Vibe and Honey Love introduced the world to a fresh, soulful voice that felt both classic and modern. R. Kelly was here, and the world was listening. Then came 1993, the year everything changed. R. Kelly released his first solo album, 12 Play. It was smooth, it was bold, and it marked the arrival of a new R&B icon. The album produced timeless hits like Bump and Grind and Sex Me, showcasing not just his vocal power but his ability to blend melody, rhythm, and emotion in a way few artists could. The album went multi-platinum, making R. Kelly one of the most promising voices in contemporary R&B. By the mid-1990s, R. Kelly had become a household name, writing, producing, and performing hit after hit. He was young, confident, and fast becoming one of the most influential figures in modern R&B. But behind the fame, there was a man still navigating the pressures of success, the temptations of celebrity life, and the weight of expectations that came with sudden stardom. R. Kelly's journey from Chicago's streets to global fame was nothing short of remarkable. He wasn't just singing, he was storytelling through rhythm and blues. And as his fame grew, so did his ambitions. He wanted to be more than an R&B star. He wanted to become a legend. And soon, he would write the songs that would define a generation. In the next chapter, we explore how R. Kelly reached the height of his career, creating music that inspired millions and made him one of the most awarded R&B artists of his time. The mid-1990s marked the golden era of R. Kelly's career, a time when his voice dominated the airwaves, and his songs became the soundtrack of love and hope for millions around the world. With his album, 12 Play, still topping charts, R. Kelly became one of the most successful R&B artists of his generation. But what truly elevated him was his ability to cross musical boundaries, blending soul, gospel, pop, and hip-hop into one irresistible sound. In 1995, R. Kelly released R. Kelly, his self-titled second solo album. It featured emotional ballads like You Remind Me of Something and Down Low, Nobody Has to Know. The album showcased his smooth vocal delivery and his growing maturity as a songwriter. Each note, each lyric, carried his unmistakable signature. Beyond singing, R. Kelly became a master producer. He wrote and produced for major artists like Aaliyah, Michael Jackson, Celine Dion, and Maxwell, among many others. His pen was behind hits like You Are Not Alone, for Michael Jackson, a song that topped charts globally. Then came 1996, and with it, the song that would define his legacy, I Believe I Can Fly. Written for the movie Space Jam, this inspirational anthem crossed generations. It wasn't just a song, it was a message of faith, resilience, and self-belief. It won 3 Grammy Awards and became one of the most uplifting ballads of the 1990s. Even today, its chorus echoes in hearts and ceremonies worldwide. R. Kelly's strength was his versatility. He could deliver deep gospel inspiration one moment, and a rhythmic R&B groove the next. His music was played in weddings, graduations, school halls, and community gatherings. He became a voice of emotion, whether joy, love, heartbreak, or redemption. In 1998, R. Kelly released R, a double album that demonstrated his creative range. From pop collaborations with Celine Dion on I'm Your Angel, to energetic tracks like If I Could Turn Back the Hands of Time, it was clear. R. Kelly was not just a performer. He was a storyteller who could speak to every emotion. As the new millennium arrived, R. Kelly's influence only grew stronger. He became a bridge between old-school soul and new generation rhythm. His 2000s releases, TP-2.com, The Chocolate Factory, and Happy People, You Saved Me, all solidified his reputation as one of the defining voices in R&B. Songs like Step in the Name of Love brought dance and community together. Across generations and continents, people were stepping, smiling, and celebrating life through his sound. The song became more than a hit, it became a culture. For many, Step in the Name of Love was the sound of joy, togetherness, and unity. R. Kelly's performances were now global, from Chicago to Lagos, from London to Johannesburg. Everywhere he went, the crowds sang along. By the mid-2000s, R. Kelly had sold over 75 million records worldwide, earning numerous American Music Awards, BET Awards, and Billboard honors. He was ranked among the best-selling R&B male artists of all time. He had become a symbol of musical excellence, a man who could make the world dance, reflect, and believe in their dreams. R. Kelly's artistry defined a generation. His sound influenced younger artists and helped shape modern R&B and hip-hop. For many fans, his music represented love, faith, and perseverance. But as his fame reached its highest point, the public spotlight grew even brighter, and with fame came scrutiny. Behind the success and applause, challenges began to rise. Questions about his personal life and professional choices would soon cast long shadows over his musical empire. By the late 2000s, R. Kelly's life had become a mixture of admiration and controversy. The same fame that had once lifted him high now brought intense public scrutiny. Rumors and accusations began to circulate, and though the details varied, one truth remained clear: R. Kelly's image as an artist was no longer separate from his personal life. In an age of constant media coverage, every headline carried weight. Fans, journalists, and critics alike debated whether the man and the music could be separated. While R. Kelly continued to release music, including projects like Double Up in 2007 and Untitled in 2009, the tone of public discussion had shifted. Where once his voice inspired, now his actions were questioned. Despite controversy, many of his fans remained loyal. To them, R. Kelly was still the voice behind moments that shaped their lives: weddings, graduations, and celebrations. Yet for others, the growing concerns could not be ignored. The music industry began to reflect that division. Some radio stations reduced airplay, and collaborations became fewer. As conversations grew louder, society began to wrestle with a difficult question: can we admire an artist's talent while questioning their personal actions? R. Kelly's case became a cultural turning point, one that challenged the entire entertainment world. It forced audiences to confront how fame, power, and accountability intersect. For R. Kelly himself, the years ahead were filled with battles both personal and professional. He continued recording, performing, and speaking about his art, often addressing themes of perseverance and faith. In interviews, he portrayed himself as misunderstood, a man whose passion for music remained, even when public favor wavered. In 2010 and 2011, he released new albums including Love Letter and Write Me Back. Both albums leaned heavily on classic soul influences, reminding listeners of his musical roots. Critics praised the return to timeless rhythm and melody, calling it vintage R. Kelly. Songs like When a Woman Loves showed that despite challenges, his creative spark had not faded. Behind the scenes, though, challenges continued. Public backlash, legal issues, and changing social attitudes shaped how audiences perceived him. The once universal admiration had transformed into a divided conversation. Still, R. Kelly remained one of the most streamed R&B artists of his era, proof that his impact on music could not easily be erased. Social media became a powerful mirror of public opinion. While some fans defended his musical legacy, others used their voices to call for accountability and awareness. The debate surrounding R. Kelly became bigger than one man. It became a dialogue about celebrity culture itself. As the 2010s moved forward, R. Kelly's career stood at a crossroads. His past, his music, and his message were now part of a larger national conversation about art, responsibility, and truth. Still, one undeniable fact remained. R. Kelly had changed the landscape of R&B music forever. His melodies continued to echo, his influence continued to shape young artists, and his story became one of the most complex in modern music history. As the years passed, R. Kelly's career entered a new and unfamiliar chapter. His music remained a part of popular culture, but his public image became the subject of continuous debate. For some, he was a musical pioneer whose songs shaped their memories. For others, he represented a complicated story about fame, accountability, and the power of public opinion. In recent years, the conversation around R. Kelly has shifted from celebrity to cautionary tale. Documentaries, articles, and public discussions have examined his life and career in depth, asking what his story reveals about the music industry and society at large. Even so, his influence on modern R&B remains undeniable. You can still hear echoes of his style, his layered harmonies, emotive delivery, and story-driven lyrics in countless artists today. Music teachers still study his arrangements. Producers reference his technique, and fans continue to stream his songs, some for nostalgia, some for the art. This complex mix of appreciation and controversy defines his legacy today. R. Kelly's career spanned over 3 decades, with countless chart-topping songs, awards, and global performances. He helped shape the sound of 1990s and 2000s R&B, influencing both mainstream pop and gospel-inspired soul. But his story also changed how fans and creators view celebrity responsibility. It reminded the world that art and artist can collide in complex ways, and that every legacy is multi-layered. Chicago remains central to his story. It was the city that shaped him, and the place that first heard his voice rise above the noise. Today, when you walk through its streets, you can still find echoes of the young dreamer who sang in subway stations with hope in his eyes. For many, R. Kelly's music is a chapter in their personal history. Songs that played during weddings, graduations, or quiet moments of faith. For the music industry, his story serves as a lesson about accountability, ethics, and the power of art to inspire and to challenge. Time will ultimately decide how R. Kelly is remembered, but his influence, from soulful ballads to anthemic choruses, will remain a part of R&B's evolution. Every generation interprets his songs differently. Some hear the hope of, "I Believe I Can Fly." Others find the dance and togetherness of, "Step in the Name of Love." And some choose to separate the music from the man, remembering the art, while acknowledging the lessons his life story teaches. In the end, music remains one of the most powerful forms of memory. It captures who we were, how we felt, and what we hoped for. R. Kelly's songs, like so many artists before him, continue to live in that space between emotion and reflection. R. Kelly's journey is a story of talent and triumph, but also of controversy and consequence. It shows how music can elevate a person to great heights, and how the choices we make define how history remembers us. His songs remain, his impact endures, and his legacy, for better or for worse, will forever be part of the story of modern music.